Hey guys, welcome back. It's Mark with Exotic Car Play Place. Today I'm going to share with you the top 6 BMW M5s, where it all began, but more specifically we're going to talk about my favorite M5s in the order that I like these cars. My favorites. I'm going to start with the top, my top favorite, and I'm going to work my way down the list. And please, before you get to the end, don't chew my head off. I'm making a comparison to another gentleman, a small YouTuber by the name of Doug DeMuro. Maybe you've heard of him. Anyway, he wrote this great article a while back about comparing every generation of M5 and how he feels about each one and where it ranks for him in terms of favorite to least favorite. And I'm going to do the same comparison, so let's get started. Number 1, my favorite should be a no surprise, and it has no bearing on the fact that because I own the car. I own the car because it's my favorite. It's not the other way around. It's not my favorite because I own the car. I own the E60 M5. In my opinion, is the best M5 of all time. Now, why is that the best M5? Well, not only did it come with a 507 brake horsepower V10 engine, coupled to either a 7-speed SMG single clutch automated gearbox or a 6-speed manual gearbox. No, it's not just that. It was actually touted as being one of the very best cars at the time by Jeremy Clarkson, who basically said it was the best thing next to an F430 Ferrari. And to be honest, I totally see why. Yeah, on the street it's a little bit of a lurchy beast. But you know what? A lot of cars are. And at the end of the day, it still has modern looks. Why it makes the top of the list is because it is sort of where BMW started with the newer generation. The iDrive system, it had the newer upgraded bumper style, but it had supercar level of performance that you couldn't find anywhere else in the day. It was faster than its rivals from Lamborghini and Ferrari. So it just did everything well, particularly on a racetrack. As well, it came equipped as a touring version. So you could get the E61, which was a touring version. As well, that same S85 engine was utilized in the M6. Now that brings me to the best engine. That's why this car is the best in my opinion. It is the only M5 rated as doing over 205 miles per hour. So it is extremely fast and it is extremely fun to drive on a racetrack. On the street it's a handful, but on the track it is one of the very best. So it really bridges some of the most modern technology with some of the older driving style. It doesn't have the full electronics that you find in some of the later cars that you find today. So Doug, I know this one is also going to be a controversial for you as well. I know the E39 was in fact a favorite of a lot of purists out there. But for me, the E39 didn't rank as number 2 either. What is in fact number 2 for me is the F10. The F10 came with, all of a sudden, that was the version that came after the E60. Now the E60 was 2005 to 2010, whereas all of a sudden the F10 came along, and that was from 2011, late 2011, up until 2016. And that was the F10. Well, the F10 now, they changed the drivetrain quite dramatically. Instead of the old F1 derived V10 engine, it actually, now BMW changed it and utilized more of their tried and true 4.4 liter twin turbo V8 engine. Now this car produced 560 horsepower versus the 507 found in the E60, which made it substantially faster. It launched harder, it accelerated quicker, but the interior was updated nicely. The M-Drive system was cleaner. The overall interior styling was nicer, and in my opinion, the F10 was the sharpest looking M5 of all generations to date. As well, it really did use 2 optional gearboxes. One, of course, being the dual clutch transmission, which in my opinion is why it edges out the F90, and the F90 we'll talk about in a moment. The F10 is truly one of my favorite because it uses the harder shifting, more aggressive racing transmission, the DCT, but you could also get it with a 6-speed manual gearbox. That, in fact, is why the F10 is so luscious to me. You can also tune it because it's turbocharged. It doesn't take much. You put an exhaust on there, you tune the ECU, and you have a car that does ridiculous speeds. Really one of the fastest Uber sedans on the market still today. So my third choice, Again, sorry guys, for those that love the E39, that is not my third choice either. What is my third choice is, of course, the F90, which I've had recent experience with. And I have to tell you, the F90 takes what the F10 did and just makes it more powerful. More technology, you have gesture control, you have some great electronics, the latest and the greatest. You've got LED headlights, the adaptive LED headlights, supreme amounts of power. Very, very quick. Yes. What is also special about the F90, of course, which is the current model, is that it also includes an all-wheel drive system that you can deactivate. If you want to run that car in rear drive, tire smoking capability, you can disable that all-wheel drive system. But in fact, this car comes with now 600 brake horsepower. You can turn it to two-wheel drive, you can turn it to four-wheel drive for bad road conditions. It is really, truly a super sedan that can hit the Autobahn at ridiculous speeds, but as well, you can use it in really less favorable conditions. Now you ask, well, if it's so great, why is it not better than the F10? Well, my personal reason for why I would pick an F10 over an F90 is the simple fact that the gearbox. Now, it is a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission that comes equipped in the F90, but unfortunately, there is no optional DCT, there is no optional manual gearbox. It is strictly a slick shifting automatic transmission, and for me that takes away a little bit of that flavor. Now I have to tell you, the interior is much sharpened up. It's a lot nicer than even the F10, far better than the E60. But like I said, aside from all the electronics and the technology, the F90 just can't quite edge out the F10 for me. The F10 still is my favorite modern day car. Of course, the F90 comes with the more or less similarly equipped 4.4 liter V8 twin turbocharged motor, but they've dialed up the boost a little bit to provide a little bit more power. In fact, the standard F90 car now is equivalent to the F10's competition package car. So they were a very, very close animal. Again, the big difference is here, some of the technology and of course the gearbox. Now my next favorite is, I know this is Doug's top favorite, but this would be my next favorite. This would be number 4, and that is the E39 M5, which was produced in 2000 to 2003. Now this one here features a manual gearbox coupled to the 4.9 liter V8 normally aspirated high revving V8 engine that was loved and adorned by many, many enthusiasts out there. I truly have experienced the E39 myself, and I love it for everything that it does, and it does it very, very well. It, in fact, is really the last of BMW's really kind of more core, bare bones, stripped out, basic interior, you know, not a lot of nannies, not a lot to assist you with the driving experience. It also had a great exhaust note. It had that classic headlights, the classic BMW look, which was a beautiful thing. I love it sincerely. The only thing for me why E39 falls a little bit below these other ones is, again, you know, after driving 500, 560, 600 horsepower cars, yes, it's fun, but it's starting to lack a wee bit in the horsepower game there. As well as some of the electronics, if you look at the dash display, a lot of people like that Spartan look. For me, I find it slightly dated, as well as the bumper styling, some of the exterior styling as well as a little bit on the dated side. For me, better value would actually come from a 540 with a manual gearbox. Half the price, 3/4 of the performance, and to be honest, that is almost as fun of a car to drive. So that's why the E39 is my 4th favorite. So my 5th option actually comes the 1980s version of the M5, which is the E28. Why is the E28 so great for me? Well, it is actually the original car with 255 horsepower, straight 6 engine. It was quick in its day for sure. It sort of initiated the whole concept of the M5, the Uber, the Autobahn beast. It really is where this whole game started for BMW. By today's standards, sure, 255 horsepower is a little on the weak side. But don't forget, in the 80s, what else did you have around that time? The Porsche 930, which was the epitome of performance and strong acceleration. That car only had marginally more power. It was also in US spec only had a slight bit more power. It was only 200 and some odd horsepower in the 930. So this car was right on the 930's heels. Now, of course, it was special because this engine came straight out of the M1, which was the BMW supercar that was utilized in the racing series, but unfortunately was canceled because of the specifications couldn't meet the criteria, and as such, BMW decided to utilize that engine. They knew they had a great drivetrain, so they shared that. They dropped it into the E28. So for me, with a manual gearbox, it all began with the E28, and for me, that's why that car is special and why it's not at the bottom of my list of top M5s. And so my sixth choice, of course, last but certainly not least, and please don't be offended anybody, the E34 is a great car. The E34 is the 1990 to about 1995 model years. Now this car here produced over 310 horsepower. It in fact was a blistering car in its day again. It was very, very fast. Again, we're comparing it to the Porsche 930, which wasn't really the same type of car, but in fact, in terms of numbers and performance, it was very much similar. Now there were some odd styling bits like the wheels, and the interior of course is looking very dated by today's standards, but again it marks that series and that generation of the M5 that carried through as such an important trademark car in the BMW lineup. This car was very important, and really in fact today finding a nice E34 is very difficult to do, and the prices are going up, like you would expect for any old school M5. The values are going up for clean ones, and it's one of these cars that you want to get your hands on if you want to collect such a beast. But generally speaking, interior touches, styling, body styling, again in its day was very classic BMW with the great headlights. The overall styling was consistent with the rest of the models. And again, it was a very attractive car in its day and still looks very classy. So that's why that car is still a favorite of mine. Now, of course, it made the bottom of the list. You have to rank them. But all M5s are important in the scheme, in the BMW world. And I love them all. I've experienced every one of these cars, and they all bring something great to the table. Now, again, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope Doug's not mad about this video. But again, you know what? Hey, he's got a great opinion on that. His opinion maybe not so right when it comes to the E39 being at the top of the heap. I know a lot of you guys believe that that car is in fact the top. Sorry guys, it's not. It's like everything BMW, generally the newer the model, the better they get. There are some exceptions of course to that. Again, I mentioned the F10 versus the F90. So make sure you guys give me a thumbs up, like, don't forget to share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to see you come back on the next one. And please, hey guys, let me know, what is your favorite car? Give me your ranking. Why don't you give me your top 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to hear it in the comments section below. Love to hear it. Oh, and by the way, in case you haven't gotten your Exotic Car Place swag, you make sure you look down in the description section below. There's a link to my Shopify store. Get your shirt, get your hat, get your hoodie. Make sure you get your paraphernalia for Exotic Car Place. Hope to see you soon, guys. Love to see you on the next one. See you then. Bye-bye.